Philip,
friend.
great. And it's the fall. We're running into the fall already. We're not just talking about that.
Well, don't get too carried away. We're
Well, no,
still in
no,
summer, but
it was
we're getting toward the fall.
yeah. And I looked out, I saw most of the boats missing here, so that's still a good deal.
Monday,
Yeah,
Freedom's out. It looks like Amigo's
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Pride's out. A lot of guys are out. So fishing here lately, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the possibilities. Your favorite time of the year, Danny, is the
It is
fall.
the fall. It
Yeah.
is the fall. You never, and we just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we had some of the weirdest things happen. Those giant albies we got. That was a fall bite. You never know what's going to. I mentioned albies, but
Well, we
we know
caught
how that is.
we
Yeah,
caught
we
a
got our
couple
two. We're good.
of.
technically, technically.
What do
But
you think? Are we going to catch any more this
yeah,
year?
I don't know. It's so odd. Even when we went down on our trip in June, to have the water temperatures be just shy of Cabo and to have it 67, I've
Yeah,
never seen
right.
it that cool. But then again, that accounts for our weather here. Whereas on the other side of the Gulf, they got that warmer water and they got the hurricanes and the storms going up the East Coast. So, that's what we've been blessed by is we have the nicer weather and everything else. And we're getting, I guess, our typical fall down there with the wahoo and stuff down below. And, our typical fall bite. It's tougher on the local guys here from what I gather. But I mean, you could still make a day in the bluefin or hit and miss, but I think it's more, they're doing pretty steady action on it. So who knows? It's fishing, folks. There's nothing guaranteed in fishing. You just got to go out there. You don't know. On some of the toughest days that I went out, just because I had one day off a week when I was in college, I would just go. And some of those times when if you watch the fish counts and watch the fish counts, you go, oh God, it's gonna stink. We went out. I had one of my best days ever off of a dead count, and only because we only had one day off. So, you have to be out there when they bite. You never know what's going to happen. So, that's the moral of the story.
How about we welcome a new angler to the chat? It's Alan Hoxie, and Alan has a question. Alan, first of all, welcome to Danny's show. Thank you for being here. He says, first time on the chat. Is the yellowtail bite going to hold through September? Do you think it'll bite through
What it
September?
sure looks like it. I mean, there's a lot of tells. I don't know. You watch what's going down at Cedros. It's full on. Further down the line, they're getting them at the islands in San Diego. Or, up here. I think we're gonna. I think you'll see it. All through the fall here. You know.
And that's not to say, Alan and Danny, that we're not going to have some lulls in that.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
it'll
No.
back
Yeah.
off for a little
Yeah.
bit, but come
Yeah.
roaring back.
Right. Right.
Used to be
Right.
like when we fished in Redondo, you didn't even think about a yellowtail bite locally till September.
It's amazing. And I don't want to. I don't want to bank on anything. You would just take what Mother Nature gives us. And we run with it. So from what I'm seeing, I think we're gonna have a good fall. But like I said, we have no idea. Got to look in that crystal ball and just go pray. That's all I can do. Pray that something bites and keeps us busy.
100%. Alan,
So
thanks for the great question and welcome to the chat. We hope we'll see more of you. We're on again tonight at 6. Don't forget that from Tackle Shop Conventions. Q Ball is with us. I was talking to Q Ball on the ride in. How you doing, my friend? He says, let me talk to the head of 9F, the Yellowtails Union. Yeah, he's going to ask him. Yeah, I mean, but, you can kind of look at the past to judge what the future. You still may be wrong, but September is usually a really good month for a variety of fish,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And you know what I'm seeing, the quality of the yellows from San Diego all the way up. It's not those little rats. These are all nice quality fish, folks. So man, that's a heck of a deal. When I'm seeing the counts and you look at some of the shots on the deck and they're laid out, they're not the little rats.
Right.
There might be a few smaller ones mixed in, but for the most part, there's nicer units.
Oh my God, you're
Yeah.
not kidding, man.
Yeah.
Especially kelp-patty fish tend to be a little smaller, it seems like, but
Yeah,
not these
yeah.
fish.
No, you've seen them offshore and seen them at the islands, seen them, down Cedros. Everywhere you look, it's all quality stuff. So, you know, you get one, you're having a heck of a day, with that kind of quality. So that's a good deal.
The Coronado Islands, I think they're as hot as they've been for 10 years, maybe more.
Yeah. Well, it's always been a great holding grounds. It's just that we haven't had the need really to fish them, and to go into the island area when all the other stuff is around, and it gives you a few more options. But I mean, yeah, it's been phenomenal fishing.
Yeah. Cue Ball says it's all late this year, and I think he's about right on that. I listened to the Monte Carlo yesterday, and they said they were chasing around some schools of sand bass, which indicates to me they're talking about, obviously, migratory sand bass. And the comment they made was they just haven't settled in yet. And that's a comment you normally would hear in May, right? Or June.
June,
but certainly not August.
No.
And so maybe that's really late this year.
And you would see, like, the times where you'd see sand bass late in the year, those things would get up to about the Channel Islands, and they're getting ready to feed up and go back down to spawn.
Yeah.
And so, when you see that, the Mother Nature's timings, they got us all up in the air. And it's like anything, you just got to go. You don't know with fishing. We don't have that crystal ball, so you just got to go out and go fish.
Yeah, for sure.
You never know what's going to happen.
You certainly don't. Steve Bermudez is joining us, and Steve says, do all San Diego boats that fish tuna do not onboard fish cleaning? Do they not do the guys that fish tuna don't?
I think you have to call most
I think
of them.
what is it, a 3-day trip and above, you have to turn it over to the processor?
Well,
I don't know.
I'm
What
not
is
exactly sure.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly
I'm not
sure
either.
because I only do the 8 days.
Yeah.
And even at that, I tell the guys, coming down, if you want fish, coming down and get it, because I'm only sending so much off out to the processor.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be in the poorhouse.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's nice in that we don't have to go home and do it like we used to. We'd spending a whole day cleaning fish and vacuum packing this and that. You know what? I'm too old for that now.
Yeah, right.
Forget it. It's too much work.
Yeah.
And they do such a great job. Yeah, you pay a little bit more, but you don't have to deal with it.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, you get a nice 5 mil bag or whatever it is, but it's real heavy duty and it'll last. It holds really well.
So when you're giving away fish, you're just giving away fish in the round, whole
fish,
usually
right?
I
tell the guys, when I get off my trip, I says, you guys want fish? Come on down. I can just give you a whole one or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the way I do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely bluefin from below the border all the way up to the Channel Islands. I see the gray light catching some fish up there out of Cisco's. I see the native sun here, leaving in the morning.
Yeah.
The Pursuits had fish, and then you start going down the line. The Thunderbird had some fish, but it's just not biting right now.
And you know what it is too, Phil? It's hard to get that thing scheduled out because typically back in the day when we ran boats, you're leaving at 11 o'clock at night, getting it back 8, 9 the next night or whatever it is, but it's around the clock. But those things now, you're having to count on fishing the flat falls and stuff like that at night on these bigger tuna. They're changing their schedules so your departure time and arrival time back at the dock is totally different. So it kills the crew too. It's brutal on the crew. But you have to do that to accommodate the bluefin, the night bites that they get, with the flat falls and stuff. And so, yeah, it's productive, if you get into them, then there's sometimes you pick and scratch, just like any kind of fishing. Sometimes it's wide open, But having to schedule that particular trip, that tuna trip, it makes it tough to do everything, and it's tough on the crew. I watch it on my trips when you're up 24 hours a day. I mean, the poor crew, it's brutal. They don't get any sleep.
I know.
And so we're almost cursed by the bluefin to some extent. It's fine. I don't mind getting a few of them, but I prefer to go fish yellows and do our other fishing like we did this year with the yellowfin and everything else. And if you get the bluefin, you get the bluefin. But yeah, could always. I think they're going to be around for a while, folks. So I wouldn't worry about that. But it seems like the trips that they have scheduled for doing the night fishing, everything like that, or if you're doing a multi-day trip, you'll have that built into the schedule.
Yeah, and you say cursed, but boy, can you imagine the economic turmoil that would have resulted if there was no bluefin for the last 8 years?
Oh my God, yeah.
What would have happened?
Yeah.
There was nothing else.
No.
Really?
It's brutal. And they're quality stuff.
Yeah.
You're not catching these rats. You're getting quality fish.
Yeah,
So
beyond
yeah, it
quality,
is
right?
nice. Yeah,
Beyond
yeah.
anything that you and I would have ever envisioned 30
Growing
years ago,
up, for
right?
sure. You're
Yeah.
right, Phil. Never would have
We were
anticipated
happy
anything.
with 18-pound
Oh
bluefin.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
heck yeah, yeah. That was just getting one, and of course, we're fishing 10, 12, 15-pound lines, little tiny hooks, fly line anchovies. It's considerably different, and who knows, maybe they were there down deep the whole time and we just never had a clue on them. Never
Or
did.
fished them at night.
Yeah.
Nobody ever did that,
Yeah.
did they?
No,
No. No.
no, we didn't. So, they got a break anyway. So, and now there's a lot of fish around,
There
and I
is.
think if we're, you know, very conservative and cognitive of the what we're keeping and not going into the heavy fish kills like we did in the past that we grew up with. I think it'll sustain itself for quite a while, and I think there's enough biomass of bait. But these things don't. We used to surmise that these things they came all the way across from Japan and then went back across the ocean. I don't think so. I'm sure there's a home garden now that just stays around. There's enough feed between the squid on the banks and the biomass of chovies and sardines and everything. They don't have to do that. They'll stay, you know, in a relatively close area and they're feeding up and they're, as we can see, they're very healthy stocks. So, being conservative and not taking more than you need. I mean, I'm that way now too. I tell the guys, "Hey, you want a bluefin, coming down and get it," because I'm only taking, what I can cut fresh.
Yeah.
I don't want to even vacuum pack them and put them in the freezer. The bluefin I want to eat fresh. Some of the other fish, the yellows and everything else, I will vacuum pack and everything. But like with the tuna, it's better to give it away fresh, let everybody enjoy it. When it's fresh. So, our mentality, I think, has changed a little bit there too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And recent studies that they released says the biomass on bluefin tuna is at an incredible level that they think they can build it back to the point where it was in the late
Oh,
1800s.
that'd be unbelievable. And
Yeah.
the fact that most of these commercial guys, usually the first week of January or something like that, they're already hit their quota.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's crazy. That's how much there is. But that's great if we can sustain that stock and keep it going like that and conserve it like this. We'll never have to worry about that facet of our fishing.
Yeah. I was on the beach doing the morning briefing 2 days ago, and a guy walked up to me, had his two kids down there, and he said, "Hey, I got a bluefin yesterday." And oh, shoot. I watch you every morning. I just wanted to, and then
Oh,
so
that's
he was
awesome.
on the 499 between there and the Snail Bank trolling a Mad Mac, and I think he said an 80-pounder, something like that.
Oh, it's quality fish.
Yeah. So nice
Yeah.
that he said no sign, no signal. It looked like the Dead Sea, but they got that blind jig strike on that one bluefin, and his
Made
day
his
was
day.
made. Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
It's amazing that all the San Diego boats are even up here fishing this stuff. I
Yeah,
remember
it is
times,
crazy.
Danny, in the past, if you were a San Diego boat, you didn't want to be caught dead next to an LA Orange County based boat. Do you remember that?
Oh,
don't you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, you got to do what you got to do now, but a Mad Mac, man, you're burning some fuel compared to, I've seen what I saw more effective recently, the last couple of years, is those Halcos, where you get them at sport boat trolling speed,
Yeah.
not racing around at
8,
20
9
knots.
knots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we at one time Cavito had a 174 daytime, and I mean, now that's a dagger for the poor crew because now we're up all day, all night. Usually you can kind of sleep during the day and save it up for the night bite for the flat fall fishing and stuff like that. But now, uh, having the opportunity to catch some of these big ones on the troll even during the day, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It's brutal on the crew though.
Cue Ball says, it was almost embarrassing when we finally started using knife jigs and the kite to catch these bluefin. 8 to 9 years of fishing with them baits for nada, foamer after foamer.
Well, I'm trying to think of when I had I had the very first knife jibs. They were prototypes. They're done by River to Sea. And I think it was, let's see, when I was still repping, I thought maybe the early 2000s. And I remember having some 450, almost 500 grain knife jigs, and they were long. They were like that. I
Yeah.
remember giving one to Tanaka's tackle, and he had several yellowfin on it, night fishing stuff, and I never even fished it, because I didn't fish the long trips. But those things are the same thing that came into play. In fact, I just used one a couple years ago to get some nice fish, on our night bites on the angler on our 8 there, and that was local. But they've been around for a long, long time, long before anybody knew what those things were.
Yeah.
When I first brought them in, so it's pretty amazing.
They're good rockeye jigs too.
Yeah.
You get them down too deep, and you're onto a cod.
Yeah.
When you're in the short water.
Well,
Now,
well,
when
you-
you're out
you
in
know, and I
2,000,
gotta tell you what,
3,000 fathoms.
I got my first Bacchetta on one of those.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was a long
Bay
one
of
like
LA?
that, down the Bay of LA. And
Yeah.
we just took a whole half a slab and I put it on
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
hooks, and the bait's that big too. But I mean, when they pull, you're fishing 130 pound, and man, you got to get them off the bottom. They'll rock you if you don't.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How-
it was.
How
It
deep
was
of
fun.
water were you fishing for those things?
I think we're right the 540 feet. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's a long way.
Do
from
they
fishing
fight all the
inside.
way back or not?
They'll fight. You can get those things 50 feet off the bottom, and they put their heads down. This is with 100 pound,
Yeah.
and they could rock you.
Really?
Yeah, so you got to put the screws to them. And
Wow.
fortunately, I had one of those new graphite rail rods, and I never let it get its head. So I just put the
Kept 'em
screws to
coming.
it, had it in low. I had a big 1,000 accurate, the light one, but I had it punched in low the whole time, and I was just grounded up, and I was happy. That was my first Bacchetta.
Did you eat it?
Oh, yes.
And?
They are the best eating fish there are, bar none.
Really?
The cabria, yeah, all those things, but it's tough. And with their resources, they'll keep an eye on it. They'll allow you one, maybe a trip or something like that. I split it up between our group. But yeah, they're phenomenal. They're very rich, but they are delicious. They are one of the best eating fish I've ever had, ever. But it's a specialized thing. They don't like to fish it too much because the pongeros in the wintertime, that's their bread and butter. That keeps them fed too, because they commercially will fish those.
Oh, I see.
Kind of keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Well, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it is.
Steve Bermuda says, I remember the tuna net boats in Ensenada unloading 200 and 300 pound bluefin for the processing plant in Ensenada in the late 70s. I remember when you're driving into Ensenada and you look over to your right, and you'd see those tails sticking out of trucks and stuff. And
Yeah.
if you're a couple of kids like my brother and I, when we were in our teens driving to Laredo, we'd look over there and it would just get you like
Oh, yeah.
pumped up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Even
Yeah.
though
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
heading out to catch
Yeah.
bluefin, but we
Yeah.
just pumped
Yeah.
you up to see that. Know what you're talking about, Steve?
It's amazing though. And commercially, for Mexico, usually it's the first week in January, and they're done with their quota.
Yeah, I know.
So what tells you, if we keep an eye on our resource and we don't completely decimate it, it'll be there and it'll sustain itself forever. We just can't annihilate it. you
Yeah.
know? So when we do that, and I'm getting to a point too, like with bluefin, I'm only going to catch a few, and I'll ask the guys, you guys want them? If you want them, I'll bring them home for you, but you're going to have to come down to the boat and pick them up,
Yeah.
because I might keep one, and even that, if it's a big one, divvy it up maybe 4 ways, and that's good enough for me. If it's a big enough fish, that's plenty to give away to everybody.
Yeah. Talking about managing fish, I know I might have this a little bit screwed up, but many years ago they wanted to put a slot limit in on redfish in Florida, and all the local guys, the guides, said, "You're going to kill us, put us out of business," and they were all opposed to it. And about 2 years after the implementation of it, they were all like, "Oh my God, thank God you did this." So they were releasing the really big fish and the smaller fish, and then you have a slot
Right.
that you can keep.
Yeah.
And the redfish population flourished, and now they're catching more than ever. And, there were guys that were like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about releasing a giant redfish. I want to keep that. I get that. I'm one of those guys in a way. But for the greater good, they went along with this. They didn't have a choice, but they went along with it, and it worked out.
And when you really think about it too, I mean, even with the bluefin or anything, Phil, when you have a larger unit and it's at the top of its class, weight class, in for that particular species. If that gene is back in the pool, regenerating, you're going to get those super fish
Yeah.
constantly coming out.
Yeah.
And with the red, like you're saying with the redfish, you know, you take that slot limit, and that's what you harvest. But the big ones, let them spawn. You know.
What do you think about a slot limit for either sheephead or calico bass or one of those
Well, I'm
two?
sure the
You
same
think it
thing.
would have the same
Oh,
result?
I have the same result. You
Yeah.
know, and you get a big calico, you get a 10-pound calico, it might be 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so all the more reason to do that. That's just funny because I'm looking at Scott Manson, all the Tatty Boys, and those guys are down at
Cedros.
Cedros
Yeah.
right now.
Saw him
And
with a
that's
big
what they
bass
do,
yesterday. Yeah.
But I mean, it's great to release those big ones for spawning because that gene pool will create, you know, a larger grade of fish. You know, coming from the larger, you know, the traits on that particular fish to get to that size. And we
Yeah.
thought about that. That's what we made a mistake on, where our egos got into us with the largemouth fishing. We all wanted to have these big fish mounted. Those are the ones that we really should have let go. You know, if we could have certified them and everything on them, but that would have been a great deal if they had certified scales at the landing. I wouldn't have minded that at all.
Yeah.
Get it certified, get a picture of it, and then let it go. You know, so those are just some of the things you have to think about for the future. You know.
All right, you're watching the Danny Kadota Show live here from beautiful 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. Appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, everybody. Thanks for being here. If you have a question for Danny, fire it in. We see several questions up on the board. Danny just got a message from Ensenada, Baja California, and my friend Victor told me that the yellowtail bite down there is still going along strong. They're having some really outstanding fishing in Ensenada.
That's
and
fantastic.
real good variety. I mean, barracuda, yellowtail.
Oh.
Sent me a photo of a young kid with a big yellowtail, man. Nothing better than
Oh,
that
that's
smile.
awesome. That's awesome.
Good
That's great.
stuff.
That's great to hear. Yeah.
Cue ball, Pargo, and Cabrilla are one of the reasons I love La Paz so much. Saravo Island is loaded with them. Mean fish, too. Stripping 40-pound in 20 feet of water and hard to hook. Yeah, they're tough fish, aren't they?
They're fun. They're absolutely fun. That's some of my best fishing. You know, down there in La Paz, what I liked down there was fishing the roosters. And that was strictly, we didn't keep any of those.
Right.
But just catching them, releasing them, we were fishing with light line.
They're fun, aren't they?
Oh, they're a blast.
Yeah.
They're beautiful fish. And
especially when that combs out of the water and they're
yes. I mean, it's just
it's so cool, right?
Metallic silver blue that they're beautiful fish.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's nice to release them. I don't think they have much eating quality anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for going down and having fun.
Yeah.
My brother and I had bass rods and we're goofing around.
Oh, wow.
Light line with it. So it was a blast.
That must have been.
That was a blast.
Must have been great.
Yeah.
Glacier Shark says, do sport boats have a quota? I think you're going to have to define what you're talking about. Or do you know what he's talking about? A quota on what, Glacier Shark? Do they have a quota on what? Ernie Montano. Danny, hey, Ernie. Ernie's a really great guy. Wink, wink. Hey, Ernie, we love you. Danny, all my knife jig hooks at the tail end. All my knife jigs have hooks at the tail end and also assist hooks. But I see how many anglers are not using assist hooks. Some say it's easier to catch large bluefin tuna without the assist hooks. Your question.
You know, I have some hooked up originally with both hooks on the top and the bottom, you know, and, you know, and to be honest with you, I'm not the knife expert, you know, I just didn't fish them enough. I've caught some nice fish on them. We represented them long before they even knew what knife jigs were. But, you know, at that time, I wasn't doing a lot of long range stuff. So I didn't get to implement them like some of the guys. I remember the first big ones I gave to Tqckle. Like I said, they got some big yellowfin, huge yellowfin.
Yeah.
And they were via Hijatos before they closed it down. But, you know, I talked to some of the guys now, and they prefer only putting hooks on one side, you know. And that's what I gather now. Even most of mine are set up with two different sets. Some of the ones recently I've been just putting, you know, one set of hooks on either the top or the bottom, you know.
All right, perfect.
So, yeah.
Sacco Hunt, if I could jump through this screen, I'd give you a big hug right now. He just subscribed. Thank you, man.
All right.
Really, really appreciate you. Thanks for doing that. And so is there a quota on the boats on bluefin tuna? A limit? Are you talking
Well, yeah,
about?
it's what,
2 fish per person.
2? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 per person. And if the crew has a license, you can catch those fish for crew members also. I think that's what you're after, Glacier Shark, but if not, let me know. Cue ball, not a total weight. The sport boat is allowed to catch like commercial fishing. Has a stop fishing at this much weight caught. It's a time.
Well, you know,
What the? Can you do that in English? What the hell? Is it me? I'm really tired.
Let me go back to the last one too.
Did you mean to say, cue ball, it's 2 fish per person?
I've gotten to the point with bluefin.
Yeah.
I tell the guys, if you want a fish coming down, I'll give you the whole fish. And it gets to the point of, what is it? Our processing fees, I'm not going to process 4 fish or whatever that are hundreds and hundreds of pounds and probably $1,000 or whatever to just give away. So I tell my friends, hey, you know what? Get some guys together. 4 of you guys can split this thing, take a quarter, and everybody's going to be happy.
Yeah.
And as opposed to, I'm not processing all those fish. So I may process 1 if that's the case. But yeah, not any more than that. So even more mentality now when I think about it, it's not that kill that we grew up with.
Right.
You know how we were when we grew up, And so
the only good fish is a dead fish.
Yeah. Yeah. It's changed when it hits your pocket.
It's changed, but I'm just being honest.
You're just giving it away. So yeah, you think about it twice.
All right, I'm really tired. Cue ball says, just read the words, Phil. So I jumped down your throat. I apologize. Not a total weight. The sport boat is allowed to catch, like commercial fishing, has a stop fishing at this much weight caught. It's 1 at a time. Okay, that makes perfect sense now. Mackie, did you have a question? I thought you were going to ask a question. Cue ball.
When did it get to 2? Like, what was it before? Was it just unlimited or?
So the bluefin, what was the
A long
limit on
time
bluefin?
ago, there was
No limit like albacore?
Yeah, I don't believe there was back then.
No limit, man.
So is it
Yeah,
just,
this is a while, but we never had that
yeah.
because typically the bluefin were light line fish. We're fishing, back in the old days, school fish. It was way before these bigger fish. We got to these bigger fish, so you were limited. And number one, you didn't catch them by accident. So you're fishing like number 8, number 6 hooks with 10, 12, 15 pound. And these fish are 15, maybe to 20 pounds or so, So yeah, it was a totally different gig than now.
Yeah, totally.
You get 1 fish and, you can divvy that up. I don't know how many ways. I'll call we have friends that have, he has a sushi school and I'll donate a fish or a fish or 2 or whatever. Tell them, come and get it because they practice on them every day. They don't sell them, but they practice on how to cut them, clean them, do the whole deal.
We got to go over there again one of these days.
And we get to reap the benefits of getting down and getting fed by the students. So to me, that's a better deal, for everybody.
Love you, cue ball. Hey, I'm really tired, man. So I can't even communicate in English today. So my problem. Jolene Thompson is joining us. She is a dear member of the Friedman Adventures family. I don't even say lady angler. She's just an extraordinary angler. Hi, Danny and Phil. Danny, when's your next fishing trip? Can you share what you have caught in late November as far as a long-range trip goes? I'm on Phil's 8-day trip on the Independence in late November. So do you have a November memory, number one?
Well,
what do 8-day boats catch?
I think, Jolene, she fishes more long range than all of us, I think, anyway, from what I see posted, But, I would think that the rocks is still going to be really good, and then you go down on the ridge, there's all kinds of, you always have a great shot in the fall, and considering an 8-day, when I did my 8-day in June, we did a couple of days of running just to get down below. And we got on the first day, we got down there late in the afternoon, we picked a few fish, but it was one of those things we pulled up on the spot and I'm looking at it and I'm going, these things already chewed today, and we picked some fish. We anchored up, we woke up in the morning, we never moved and we were done. Next day we made a short move to the inside for those 60, 70 pound yellowfin and we were done. So basically in 2 days on the angler, we filled all 3 fish holes. It was
Wow.
unbelievable.
Wow.
It was crazy, Joe. But I think you'll have a great a great fishing trip. And think about that time of year. I think you're going to see a lot more whoos. You see a few more exotics. And you'll have a great trip, I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you then, Joe
Yeah.
Lane. Hopefully, I'll see you before. So, Doug Tilt was on this trip I was just telling you about. 96 halibut on the Endeavor. He joins us now. Doug, yeah, I was wondering what happened to you. I figured, I don't know, maybe you fell overboard or something. You got a message out to me, a cryptic message saying you had great fishing. Sent me a really blurry photo of Bella, which I deeply appreciate. Don't get me wrong. I know my lack of sleep, my sleep deprivation has me a little snippy, doesn't it? I've got to lay off here a little bit. But at least I knew you guys were catching something. Doug says, I spent all day yesterday detailing and packaging fish. Wore my old body out. Just about what you were talking about, having to deal with all that fish.
I'm not into that anymore. Oh my gosh.
Plus, have to find a place to dump skin patches and trimming. It's like having a job. That is for sure.
Yes. Yeah. You got to have all those places sourced.
I think the statute of limitations has run out, but we had so much of that kind of stuff. Albacore, I think my brother and I cleaned, and we dumped it in the local park. Now, not in a park, kind of I don't know what it was. I can't remember. But like a week later, there's an article in the Daily Breeze about some slobs that threw their fish guts. And I was looking at my brother going, please tell me we didn't leave like our fish tags on there. They called H&M Landing and who was number 8 on the producer or whatever. But yeah, no. So busted, kind of busted, but not busted.
Oh, God.
I know what you mean. I don't recommend doing that at your age, Doug. You may go to jail.
Funny.
First to last, do you know of any studies in regards, Doug Tilt, I guess you too, Phil.
Okay, you got me.
Is it me? Am I going crazy, or is there something?
No, something's missing a little bit.
All right.
It might not have been through there completely on that.
What's going on? Is there some kind of a gas that's been released in society? Everybody's
We're just missing words.
Yeah, we're just like missing words and syntax and
too hot.
A few other. Yeah, maybe it's too hot.
Everyone's melting.
All right, Doug, why don't you? There we go.
Oh, okay,
First last.
Here we go.
Do you know of any studies in regards to the mortality rate of hooked bluefin tuna? I love to fish for those things, but hate harvesting a triple-digit fish when one can only have so much sashimi and collars.
No, that's
I
true.
don't know. Is there a mortality study on it?
No, I think that the best thing you could do probably is have it either cut off as close to the hook as you can. Hopefully you got it in the, it'll wear out and fall out.
What's your sense? What's your sense of it after fishing for many years? Do you think they live, or they don't all live, right?
They don't. Yeah, but they probably don't all live. But it all depends on how severely you have it hooked too.
Yeah, whether it bled a lot.
Hopefully, if it's in the jaw, if you have it hooked in the corner or something.
Which you're going to get with a circle hook most of the time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got those big knife jigs. Yeah, they're halfway down their throat.
Yeah. So it's tough to figure. I think you're gonna have to make that judgment on how each one is hooked. And if you can get that hook, if you can actually get the hook out by sliding the gaff down, if the hook's big enough, and then popping the hook that way, that would be your best choice. But you know how difficult that is. When you got that thing. But I mean, if you got nothing to lose, you're not keeping the fish. I think you stand a better chance of getting that thing and using the gaff to pop the hook out.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, if you're on a sport boat, there's some other guy on the boat that may not have a fish, and you can say, "Hey, you need a fish?"
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, if you're okay with doing that,
sure.
First, last,
absolutely.
That's for sure. Cue ball. I don't know. Oh no, it's got to be a guy asked me if we had quotas on sport boats. Guess the short answer is no. It's 2 bluefin a day per angler, not a total weight caught like commercial quotas. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Glacier sharks up in Canada, I hear they have catch and release fishery, but you can only catch one. That might be very true. I don't know what Canada's regulations are. Do you?
No, I don't.
What's wrong with you? Why don't you know Canada?
I'm not a knucklehead.
And PEI bluefin. You know what that means?
No.
You don't really?
PEI, come on. I'm out of it.
You know what it means? Mackie doesn't know. Do you know? That makes 4 of us. What is PEI? It's an acronym for something, I'm guessing. We're a bunch of dopes here, Glacier Shark. So
Glacier
what is
Shark,
it?
you're going to have to
Yeah.
get Glacier
Pete
Shark.
said
You got to
Pete.
get the big crayon out for us old guys here.
That's not diversity and inclusion, is it, or anything like that? They're trying to do that with the blue.
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking almost, but I don't know. Yeah, we're just out of it. You're going to have
Dan,
to
you got a
get
theory.
the big crayon and let us know.
Come
real
on,
quick.
Glacier
Come
Shark.
on, we're waiting for it.
Prince Edward Island. There you go. Right on.
That's a
Thank
whole
you.
different ball game.
Now I'm going to memorize that. That's
those
cool.
are some huge. Yeah, those are some
Cue
big
ball.
ones.
I thought it was Glacier Shark. Cue ball knew that right away. Way to
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
Q.
yeah.
Love it.
Exactly.
1,000-pound BFTs up there.
Exactly.
Glacier Shark's cracking up.
Well, you know,
we're a
fish,
bunch of
you know,
dummies
fishes
tonight.
all that stuff.
Who?
Pete, the MERS.
Oh shoot,
Pete
that's
used
right.
to go up there and fish all that stuff.
He
Exactly.
had one that was 1,000
Yes.
something, didn't he?
Yes, I have the picture somewhere at home. Yeah.
Yeah, he sent it to me too. Pete Demers, for
Mm-hmm.
everybody listening, was the trainer for the Los Angeles Kings for 25 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
At least
or
25
longer.
years. Hey,
It says catch and release. Can you only catch and release one?
I don't know. It doesn't make. I don't know. I think you can keep one and then catch and release after that. Did I ever tell you? And I haven't told Pete this, and he may listen to this and no, but and I never brought it up to him because I didn't want him to feel bad. Not that I want him. I don't think he should feel bad. My brother and I go to Culver City Ice Rink.
Yeah.
Because we heard the Kings practice there. And we're big Kings fans. The 2 kids, too.
Yeah.
And every guy coming off the ice at Culver City, Don Kozak, Marcel Dion
Oh,
was
my God,
playing
you're
there,
going way back.
Vashon.
Yeah.
Hey, can we have your stick? Yeah, here. You know, we had a freaking, like a sporting goods store full of sticks. And then here comes Pete Demers, and he goes, hey, who gave you those sticks? And we go, the players gave them to us. And he goes, well, they don't have to wrap the effing things. So he didn't take them all, but he took some of them. It was so funny. That was my
God.
first
That's
meeting
your
with
first
now.
experience
I've
with Pete?
come back to Pete, and he's one of the greatest guys you could ever meet, donating
Oh,
his time
absolutely.
in homeless places and
Absolutely.
everything else. But Pete, there you go, man. That's
You know how I met him? We were doing the Long Beach fishing show, and Toyo Shimano comes up and he goes, hey, you want to go see a morning skate? I go, what the heck's a morning skate? He said, oh, the Kings. I wasn't into hockey at all.
Yeah.
I grew up, right, not too far from the Forum. And so anyway, we go down there, and he introduces us, and Toyo Shimano says, hey, you want to go fishing? Call Danny. Well, I'll be danged. I get calls the next day, and he, turns out, he's a very hardcore fisherman. He's a great student, and he's one of those guys that picks stuff up. So first thing he had pretty much carte blanche with Shimano and with Loomis. So I think I got them all Trinidads. I got them, we got them all Loomises, at the time. And so Pete started out right, and then I would take him, and we'd go deadhead down on my brother's boat on the Cherokee Geisha when they were running an open party. And so we got him to fish, the tough way, but he picked stuff up so fast because he's an astute learner. I mean, he's into it. He's understanding the science of why we're tying these knots, why we do this for this particular utilization and stuff. And Pete just picked it up, and he just, became a super fisherman real quick, and it was just such a blessing. We got to fish all over the place, so it was fun.
Yeah, you guys have been all over the world together, haven't you?
Yeah.
I absolutely love the guy. He's, you
there's
ever notice
nobody better than Pete.
when there's Christmas or any holiday, he's down serving the homeless, or
He does that all the time. He's just got such a big heart, and he's blessed by that too.
yeah.
But he's, I just love fishing with Pete. He's, but he is very hardcore, and so he drove me to fish harder too, because I'm going, oh okay.
That is
Here we
so.
go.
That is funny.
Yeah, no.
Good guy
Pete's-
for sure.
Yep.
What do you think about that halibut bite up there on the Endeavor? Have you ever, like 100 halibut on a sport boat? Is that something you've heard very often in your
Not
long
very
career?
often. Not
no,
very
right?
often. No, that's phenomenal fishing. And those were chunks too.
Yeah.
Those things were slabs.
It
Oh,
knocked the hell out of Doug Tilk. He's just tired just cleaning the dumb things. I haven't heard from him. I thought, I'd get like, hey, Phil, let me fill you in on the trip. And, so your morning briefing. Didn't hear a word from him. So I figured, man, he must have gotten his butt kicked on this trip. But it turns out that after the trip, he was really, trying to process it.
Yeah. Well, and the halibut are pretty easy. You do the center cuts and just go down the sides. You get those big slabs, but with the quality and the size that they're talking about, that's tough to handle because they're huge. Yeah, those things are big fish.
Have you ever fished with Tucker McCombs, or do you
No,
know
I
him very
haven't.
well?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, he's a good
No,
guy.
he came in. I think he's quite a bit younger than the group I fished with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we grew up with the Sanson brothers, the Ray Monteros, and Eddie McEwens, and guys like George Mayo. Was
Did you work with Eddie a lot?
No, but I fished with them.
Oh, you did?
I fished with them. Yeah.
You mean you decked on the boat or what?
No. I'd go down there and buy a ticket.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah.
And how did you like fishing with Eddie?
Oh, he was great. He was great. And you think about it, he was one of the guys up here, at Pier Point.
That's right.
So
He told me about some hellacious white sea bass bites on Cortez Bank.
oh,
That's what he
I
told.
can believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he was been around. He's a super nice guy too.
Yeah.
McEwen was awesome.
He's a legend in this
Yes,
business.
absolutely.
You know what
Yeah.
else he used to tell me? I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but he told me that when he got close to the albacore grounds, he could smell them. He could start to smell the smell from albacore. You're not buying that. I can see that.
I'm not buying that, but he had a nose for him.
Well, I think he was blind in one eye, right? So
Yeah.
they say when you have that kind of
Yeah.
disability, your other senses
Yeah.
become accelerated.
Absolutely.
So maybe it was one of those things.
Well, my official deadhead, Hero Watanabe, who used to hold the boat, hold the wheel for us for years and years, was also one of Eddie's deadheads back in the old days. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a lot of great times
Yeah.
with Eddie. I
Yep.
love Eddie.
Yep.
David John Miller. David John, welcome, my friend. He worked on the Cherokee Geisha in 2003 and 2004.
Oh, okay.
Who was
Cool,
on there
cool.
then? Was that Butch?
Probably Butch. My brother put it together, and that was I think. Let's see. I have to think back now.
David John probably can tell us
It
who was
was in
there.
the 70s.
Yeah,
I
Butch,
think it
he
was.
says.
Yeah. Oh, Butch, yeah.
I love Butch too. He
Yeah,
was a
Butch
great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tragic deal the way.
Oh my God, that occurred in Panama, right?
Yeah.
He
got
died
crushed.
in Panama,
Yeah.
and I think he got, not sure, caught between the boat and the
Yeah,
dock.
he got crushed.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was sad. That's it. Butch was he was a heck of a guy.
Yeah, for sure. David John, thanks, man. Good to see you here. Cue ball. I fished with Tucker since he was on deck of the Mirage. Cisco's is my local land, and nice cue ball. That kid is really a hard fisherman. David John Miller's back, and he says, I could do 1 to 3 baits off the stern in 2003, 2004, and keep the albacore in my chun slick for hours till we loaded up the boat. Now, there's a guy who knows how to chum, because a lot of these guys, these younger guys, man, it's been a while, but they'll just start brailing bait on albacore, and that's not what you want to do, right?
Albacores are singles. One.
Why? What does that do?
Because the
Does
way
it,
they
like,
feed
train
up,
'em?
they're not like tuna. Tuna feed up. Yeah, they'll feed up. So you want to keep them. Unless you got some unbelievable volume, and unless you got squid poles and bait poles for your commercial fishing, you don't put the bait on them heavy. You feed them singles, on the spot. And then like when we commercial fish, if you had 3 guys in the rack, 4 guys in the rack back there, when the guy's pulling a fish in and it's coming over, then you fill the hole with the bait. And so by the time the guy bait and get back in with his bait pole, he was on, and then as this one's coming out of the water, you hit that spot, So it was a timing deal and the way to keep them going. But albacore, you don't hit them like like yellowfin. Yellowfin, you're feeding them scoops for the most part.
Yeah.
But the albies, you're throwing steady ones.
How about bluefin?
Bluefin, the same. You can feed bluefin a little heavier too.
Especially this grade of fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. But we never saw those
Right.
that fish. I mean, they never came to the spot like that. But albacore for sure. You could hold them there all day, and I don't know how many tons we got off those spots by fishing like that. But we're fishing a lift bowl.
You remember seeing football field size of blue, just huge schools of bluefin on the surface, and your albacore fishing guys will go, "Hey, Cap," probably to you, and you'd go, it's bluefin.
Well,
Did you ever have that experience?
I've seen them,
Yeah.
but a lot of times you couldn't get them to go. You couldn't get them to bite. Unless they mix with the albies, then they would get stupider.
They start acting like
They'd act more
albacore.
they're competing now
Yeah.
for the bait. But other than that, the bluefin were bluefin. They were definitely still more touchy. Where you get the albies to eat the heavier line, the bluefin are going, no, 12 and 15 only, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Smaller hooks. Yeah.
By the way, the morning briefing today was like 6 hours late because I scheduled it for Wednesday.
Mhm.
Or no, wait, what is it? Monday? Yeah, I scheduled it for Wednesday. Then Mackie called me and says, "Hey, you scheduled it for Wednesday." I go, "Oh my God!" So then, of course, I went in and I scheduled it for Tuesday. So it was still tomorrow. And then finally, I looked at it and I go, "Oh, I need to schedule it for today." So it's late today. Sorry, guys. Tomorrow morning, I'm up at 5:30 to get it on early, and I will schedule it perfectly. I hope. Sir, hook up daily. Talking knife jigs now. I've seen treble hooks on the bottom and assist hooks dangling. Is there a general consensus on which is better? Danny, what do you like?
I've done both because, like I said, the first knife jigs we got, I think it was when I started repping. So that was in the 2000s, early 2000s, or late 90s. And we tried a whole bunch of things. I wasn't fishing the spots to fish those things, but I think guys were welding on big heavy duty trebles on the bottom, and then later on putting the assist hooks up on the top hook. But you talk to the guys now, it's totally different. Some guys will just put assist hooks on the top, or and hook one hook on the bottom. Some guys don't advocate using the top and bottom hook. So I think it's a personal preference. A lot of people have their own beliefs on what is more beneficial.
Yeah, David John Miller was talking about that albacore fishing and being part of it, and he says he's just grateful to have been a part of it. And
Oh yeah.
you're the kind of guy we love, David, being grateful for that kind of stuff. It was a beautiful dance, he says. Cue ball, bottom 100%. A lot of the boats won't let you fish with a jig with top and bottom hooks. Dangerous for deckhands as the top hook always gets stuck in the rail. That is something that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Presents a lot of problems for the crew.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I shouldn't even say this because I'll jinx somebody, but I'm surprised that more people don't get a hook in there. It happens from time to time, but I would think it would be like you got guys drinking beer and
You got to be careful.
I just
Yeah.
the Lord must look over fishermen.
Yeah. You have to be cognitive of the people that are fishing on the boat too.
Yeah,
If they're inexperienced, you want to help them, but you also have to be very aware of where they're placed.
yeah. You
They're
got to be
the
like a
type- they
defensive
could be
driver.
standing 20 feet away, and their line's angled at 45 degrees. So you also have to be aware of that too. So I mean, it's having that ability, and we've been blessed from working on boats all these years. Every year, looking when I'm fishing, I'm looking here and I'm looking here too. You don't know. I mean, and even then, sometimes you get somebody that's on the wrong side of the boat, and we go, "What the heck is?" You'll see this white spectral line going out,
Yeah.
underneath, and you go, "Hey, you gotta either get around the bow or get around the stern, but go."
I like when a guy has made a cast, he's in the kelp with a sliding egg sinker, and he's wound down and he's pulling, and that bullet is headed right for
It's
you
a
when it
bullet.
comes out of there.
It's a
And
bullet.
man, I turn my back to it and put my head down. I'm not just staring at the kelp because I don't feel like losing an eye that day. But it's like a bullet.
Oh
isn't it?
yeah, I used to see guys pulling lead heads, calico fishing.
Yeah.
And they hit the bulwarks and stuff like that. Thank God it's not the window.
Yeah.
Or
some
them
passenger.
in their face, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it gets dangerous. They have to be very concerned, and usually it's better that you have a crew member doing it, and they could pull it hand by hand. The nice part about Spectra, as opposed to the straight mono like we had, the mono, when you load that thing up, and if it comes flying out of the kelp, it's like a slingshot. If you're doing straight Spectra, you'll just feel a thump. And that's it. So there's some safety things to the Spectra that are to your advantage, and there's things that it's a little more dangerous. You have to be careful about it, or the fish are really peeling out, and you don't want to be you don't want to touch the line. It'll cut you real quick. So there's there's pluses and minuses, and obviously I think the pluses weigh out. With the Spectra over the long run.
Have you ever had anyone airlifted off the rig? Any rig you were running?
No, thank goodness.
Really?
I've had some people teeter,
Yeah.
but not go in the water.
Yeah. So no heart attack or anything like that ever
No,
on any
and
of your boats?
well, we did. I did. We had a charter master out of San Bernardino, one of my groups, her Clemens. Unfortunately, we were at the Coronados, And that in itself is quite an experience. What we had to do is we had to drop all 4 bait tanks, shut all the windows, the galley doors. Your crew has to let the basket come down and discharge, because if you try to grab the basket coming down from the chopper, it's loaded up with juice, right? It'll knock you on your behind.
Oh, you mean
So
electrical charge?
electrical charge,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So you have to let it ground on the deck. You'll see it sparking and it arcs. And the the first time, well, the first and only time I had to take a guy off. Thank God we were at Coronados, but it was our charter master, and is when the Coast Guard went to the smaller helicopter.
Yeah.
It used to be the big,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bells,
Yep.
and it was a big loading area and everything else. Well, no, this one, he was out there dangling and they were spinning them around and trying to orientate the cage to get them in, And fortunately, he was fine because it was at the Coronados and they got him to Scripps down there in San Diego real quick. So he was fine. He ended up okay. But yeah, it's quite an experience, life experience for anything, whether it was, for us, on the boat, or whether you're a passenger seeing what you're doing, but you have to go into the wind, maintain they want you going, I think it was about 7-8 knots, a steady. You have to let the cable discharge on the deck before you touch it.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things that you'll learn from the experience.
Yeah. A reminder to y'all, we'll be on the air again tonight at 6 from Island Fishing Tqckle with Sam De La Torre. You are watching the Danny Kadota Show here live from 22nd Street Landing. By the way, Michael Limon is here, the young man, in case anybody watching is not familiar, young guy that comes down here and fishes all the time. We usually put an over and under. How many fish will he catch during your show? He's been fishing for like a half hour and hadn't caught anything. So what did we?
I think you got them all the last time.
Yeah, maybe. Let's put it at 2. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it at 2 for the rest of Danny's
yeah.
show. So place your bets now, ladies and gentlemen. Will Michael catch more than 2 fish?
I would not bet against that kid. He might be just sandbagging.
Yeah, really. He's got
waiting. Let's see.
Got a gunny sack
Get
out
it up.
there. Full. Good stuff. Cue Ball says, Adam got airlifted off the Eclipse once. He had a mishap with his fillet knife. It was bad, but he got a helicopter ride out of the deal. Man, that's another thing. Filleting fish. Have you ever seen injuries with regard to that?
I've seen some. I've seen
I
some.
haven't seen.
But
I mean, I don't think I ever saw anything. I got in between the galley cook and a passenger, and the galley cook was trying to put a fillet knife in the passenger. I was like 17, and I was the deckhand on the Redondo Special. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Holy smokes!
We tell you, David John Miller says he's going on Wednesday for a day and a half. Well, with your good attitude, David, I think maybe you'll change this thing around. They'll start biting again. And don't get shocked, he said. Hopefully that's going to bite again. I'll try to talk to Max on the Highliner before we go on the air on the Tackle Shop Confessions tonight, if you're going to join us over there, David, and see if I can't have an update. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of other news out there also. But fishing right now offshore is slow. It just is. And having said that, I mean, the Liberty yesterday had 60-something yellowtail.
But, Phil, everything cycles.
Yeah.
Like when I was on my 8th day, there was only 2 of us. It was us and I think it was the Royal that were down there, down below. So there's not much coverage. So just between the 2, we were kind of on top of things. But, all the way, the next area was all the way back above Ensenada, Tijuana, right?
For that bluefin? Yeah.
And that stuff, it just was down for a couple of days. And so, guys, when that happens, they're just scattered everywhere. It's easy when you got it dialed in, they're up and biting. In a night bite or whatever it is, you got it all locked in. But, we had some pressure. So, I mean, we were looking around and we even, let's say after we had the 2 days that we just whacked them and we were done, we jugged it. We came back to the north toward Colonette to kind of scout out areas for the guys that are doing the 1 and 2 day trips.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was really tough, but it eventually went off. It went off right after that. And then but it's typical, a down period, and it just, those things cycle. That just happens, but that's fishing.
Put their nose in the mud and don't bite for a little while.
Mud. Yep. Yeah.
I think that's what we're going for. You got to change that, David John. Cue Ball says Michael's up to it again. Go check the bait tanks and find out where he's hiding all those fish. Man, that kid's gotten good. Love to see it. Tomorrow's angler. Yeah, you're right, Cue Ball.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, he's in love with it, and he starts school day after tomorrow. Poor kid. And I'm all for academic success. Of course I am. I was a teacher. But it's hard to go back to school when you're a kid after summertime, right?
Yeah. Well, we have to talk to Grandpa here because
Grandpa.
we know that he's keeping them straight on, straight as an arrow by dangling fish, and that's what had to be done with me too. That was about the only thing I liked more than getting in trouble was fishing. So to keep my grades up, keep my nose clean, that's what it took to earn my fishing, rights to go fish with my grandparents every Saturday.
I don't
so
care what
that
it
was-
is.
what saved me.
Politics,
Yeah.
raising kids, if the incentive structure is right, people will perform the way you want them to
Absolutely.
perform.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if they had an incentive structure in the Senate, like if you don't have a balanced budget in 4 years, you're out of a job. We'd have a balanced budget.
Well,
The incentive structure was like that. They would do it.
I'd be happy if they had any common sense at all.
Well, now you're pushing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're being
I don't want to get
unreasonable.
political, but that could be both sides too. So
You're being completely unreasonable.
yeah.
What Danny was talking about, and Dan Lightfoot is standing right next to me, is Dan does a quid pro quo. Michael, you don't get good grades, you don't go fishing. And Michael turned his academic career around and started getting really good grades. So good job, Grandpa.
That's what did it for me. It was fishing with my grandparents every weekend. Yeah,
And
I'll
hey,
tell
to be perfectly honest with
Yeah.
you, no, you can't see Dan. I should make him go out there in front of the camera and just like do something funny. Why don't you go out there and do some push-ups or something?
Yeah, right.
To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, he could go off and say these are my golden years, and the last thing I need to do is be raising a kid. And
hey man, God bless you.
my
man,
hat's off. This is a
God
really
bless you.
good guy.
because I know what it did for me.
This is a really good man.
Yeah.
You can give me that 20 later.
Yeah.
David John
Oh,
Miller,
God.
even when it's slow, David John will never get skunked. I'm assuming you mean you're always having a good time, or maybe you come up with some fish. But either case,
Yeah.
that sounds good to all of us. What else can I talk about? Some good barracuda fishing up in the Channel Islands. But man, we certainly have not seen a good sand bass bite here this year. And by that I mean consistent.
Isn't that weird?
And no barracuda. And
Yeah.
the Monte Carlo yesterday chasing migratories around. Is it going to happen late, do you think? Or it's a weird one.
You know what? It's awful. It is late, but I've seen, we that big albacore we've had in 1984, 84, 85, 84, I think it was.
Yeah.
Okay, when they came up in the channel
Yeah.
side here, that was very late. That was September, October, and that's, it was phenomenal, So, and you just don't know. It used to be like with sand bass and stuff, where you could see them coming up the line all the way through Mexico.
Yeah.
Up toward Tijuana. We because when we were down to San Diego, and if we left in June, there was nothing to fish. We'd have to run down the line to go fish the sand bass, the sculpin, scratch it out on some barracuda at the rock pile, and occasionally get an exotic. But, watching those schools of sand bass come all the way up the line, kept all the half-day boats, it kept everybody busy.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
It, it filled sacks,
I did.
so that was an important part of, the fishery that we utilized back in those days,
Well, we've been mentioning that the sand bass bite hasn't been good here, but down in San Diego, they've been killing it. Mackie and I were in Ensenada probably 2 months ago now,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
guessing. And we had sand bass and like 6, 7 fish following the hooked fish
Oh,
up to the
wow.
surface. So that fish
That's
made
fun
it up
stuff.
to San Diego at least. They've had a really good local
Yeah,
bite for a
yeah,
month now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Have you been following that at all? Or what?
No.
That has been super good fishing,
Well,
no question about it. And looks really, really good. I'm getting something here from Dan Lightfoot. Clay checked in from the Old Glory out of San Diego. They've got 21 yellowtail today. Not bad. Pretty good.
But a lot broke off.
Oh, and a lot broke off.
Well, that's
Boy,
good.
that's an old story.
Well,
The one that got away, man. We had like 100 plus, but 80 of them got away.
But
So we got
the
21.
quality on those things.
Yeah, no, that's
overall,
good.
The quality of those fish I've seen is phenomenal. Yeah, so it's
All
not
right.
all those little not footballs, but the little rats. Yeah.
Steve Ramirez says that the fish are waiting for the warm water that will be generated by future hurricanes. Interesting theory, Steve. Back into the tequila.
They should be chewing around the Cape, right?
Yeah, right.
To get in it on the east side, going up the East Coast.
Cue Ball says everything is late this year for blank's sake. The white sea bass finally just bit, and that should have been going on 2 months ago. Late season with a lot of changing. Excited to see what all shows up. I think cue ball might be
I
right
think you're
on.
absolutely right.
I think he's nailing it.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely right. I mean, I think back to my June trip. Like I said, for us to be that far south, you know, and have the water 67 degrees, that is
You were down almost to
cold.
Cabo, weren't you?
For about 150 miles or so
Yeah.
north, you know. But I've never seen it that cold down there, you know. But what made it nice was the water was just flat. It was flat calm. So I think it could very well be just late, you know, and then it's not for us to determine. That's Mother Nature dictating that.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to do whatever Mother Nature dictates. And, you know, we just take what you know, what shows up. But, you know, I think it could just very well be delayed.
And of course, Mother Nature doesn't have a calendar. Everything that happens out on that water is
Exactly.
dictated by the water temperatures,
That's
and
right.
sometimes that stuff shows up late,
That's
right?
That's right.
And now we're starting to transition into a La Nina, so who knows? I mean, where we would normally get a warming trend, we might get a cooling trend in the fall, and
Yeah.
it, like Q Ball says, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, those huge record-setting albacore that we had in the channel here in 1985, I think it was, right? That was all. We were already back, and we were back here at 22nd Street. You know, we already came back from H&M for our summertime, and that stuff went off, and that's when I put Fran on the first string with Russ Heiser, and she got that 85 pound,
Wow.
75 pounder, still a world record. She
That's
has it
awesome.
set on 20 pound.
Was that a woman's world record? Or?
Oh yeah, it still is. Still.
Yeah.
You could look up Fran Kennedy, but she was our galley gal.
Oh,
you know.
is she still around by any chance?
Yeah, I
or-
think so. I believe
Yeah.
so. She, you know, down in Costa Mesa. But yeah, she went out with Russ and nailed that big old fish.
Steve Bermudez, last year, East Cape, the water got up to 90 degrees. That happens quite a bit down that way, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you get something
yeah. But like I said, it was when we were there in June. We weren't that far north of there, and it was 67. So that was, for me, very odd to see it that cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, but the yellowfin bit full on, the yellowtail bit full on, so it was good. You know.
April Bean says, hi,
Yeah.
Philip. April's a dear old friend. Haven't seen for a long time. April, good to see you here. The kids that are the, what do you call them? The kids that bus tables at the fair where I'm a bartender. They said they were going to be sending in crank messages today. So thank God I haven't seen any. I did get one the other day. I was interviewing Daniel up on the Island Spirit, and one of those kids wrote in, did anyone ever tell you look like a pit bull? Funny. So I saw that crumb at the fair, and I hit him right in the head with a lime. First thing I did when I saw him.
Perfect. That'll teach him.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. So yeah, we don't know what's going to happen this year, but it certainly is going to be an interesting year. It already has been.
Yeah.
The Channel Islands took a long time to get rolling, and like Q Ball just pointed out, they really haven't hit their stride yet on their white sea bass.
It's amazing, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So yeah, it could be just delayed.
Yeah.
You know? We have our timing set in our heads that this is what should be biting at this
Right.
time. Guess what? The fish do what they want to, what
That's
they're
right.
going to do.
That's right.
You just have to adapt to it.
That dropper loop fishing at San Clemente Island down there at Pyramid Cove. Wow, Danny. There's been yellows to over 40 pounds, high 40 pound class. Dropper loop fishing, 50 pound, 7-0 hook, live squid. That's good fishing.
Unreal. That's unbelievable.
That's
It really
backed
is.
off now too. So I'm not
yeah.
trying to tell everybody out there, hey,
Yeah,
that's.
yeah.
But there's been some really excellent fishing there also.
Yeah.
And Mackie makes the point that those fish have to eat sometime.
Yeah.
They're going to have to eat something. Hopefully it's a bait with a hook in it.
You know, they could be, you know, transitioning up the line. They could be out at Tanner. They could be out at Cortez. You know, and we got tastes of some of those things out there too. So you know, you just don't know. We don't know. Thank God, because if we knew everything,
It'd be boring.
We'd clean them all out too.
That
you know?
too.
So yeah, no, it's a good thing.
You ever fish out of San Francisco?
Yeah, but not, you know.
You go on a sport boat or?
Well, we did the Mustang up there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we had the rack on. At the end of the year when we left San Diego, we would come back up to Pedro, take the stern off, and we had a rack that set that far off the water, and then we put the
Lift pole?
canopy. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd go let the kids, because we didn't let the crew fish. You know, we hooked and handed, but we didn't let them fish. So
Yeah.
we would go up there and commercial fish and make a few bucks and have a ball, you know, and get our aggressions out on those albies on the lift poles, you know. But it was a whole different game. You know, at that time.
You kind of could. I mean, I don't know if I want to say this or not. Well, I'm just going to be perfectly honest. That boats that didn't allow crew fishing, you just had the feeling you're on a professional run thing. Whereas you're on a boat and the guy's frickin' fishing all the time, and hey, I need a gaff over here. I'll be there in a minute. You know what I mean?
You know, and I think that's why we were very fortunate to have the crew members that came out of our operation that are all captains. You know, they're all captains, and the very, recognize the last one. Our last pinhead was a guy named Brian Kiyohara.
Running the
And he ru-
American
And
Angler.
he runs the finest operation anywhere. And so we were very blessed having great kids. And friends. And I mean, we had the Mike Redlew, we had the Tanaka brothers, my brother. I mean, but there's over the years, there's so many captains that came out of, we call it like a farm system, right? And then we'd move them around I had the Fortune, the Cherokee Geisha, and we'd move guys around. And so, we had a neat farm club, of captains that we were very blessed with.
Yeah, for sure,
yeah.
for sure. The reason I was asking about San Francisco, though, Mackie was just up there, and he said the halibut fishing up there is so good. And I've been covering it off and on, but he got to experience it firsthand and said it was fantastic.
Unbelievable. I've seen some pictures. Yeah, the limits.
You
Yeah.
want to say anything about it? You should. Why don't you? What boat were you on and all that stuff? Why don't you? You can have a discussion with Danny. about
Oh
how
yeah.
good it was.
So we were on the GoldenEye 2000 I was up there for 2 days of fishing.
Yeah.
So we got limits every day, 2 per person.
Wow.
It was pretty gorgeous because we got to just fish in the bay.
Oh, that's nice.
So
That's
we
nice.
were pulling halibut drifts right next to Alcatraz.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
You
then,
get a little bit of movement there.
Yeah,
huh?
so I was just
Current
like,
move-
this is awesome. And it's like when we would reset, we got closer to Alcatraz and we reset the drift again. I'm like, this is so cool. This is better than
Wow.
any other tour we could have gotten.
What did they average? What did the fish average?
Probably just this was a pretty slow day when we went, but they're just schooly size.
Oh,
They're
okay.
like,
That's
what,
it. That's
20?
the limits. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. I think
That's
the biggest
awesome.
one we pulled was like a 30-pounder.
No stripers, no salmon mixed
No,
in.
they didn't come. Salmon's closed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
no
yeah.
stripers. The stripers did not bite when I was up there. But another species, another day.
I can remember.
Boat.
No, Captain Kwan of the GoldenEye 2000.
Oh, cool.
It's what do they call? I think call it a catamaran with the 2 little stabilizers on
Yeah,
the side. It was
Yeah.
a nice big wide boat. You could sit down. Rod
Well, that makes
holders.
nice for the drifts then. If it's
Yeah,
got,
yeah. It was a lot different than stuff out here.
Yeah, it's the current going. Like we used to have to make our own bait in San Francisco Bay, and you only have one shot a day of slack tide, and when you make your set, if you don't nail that thing, it collapses, and then you got to wait till the next tide change, which could be another day. It could be a day off. And so a lot of big learning curve. And I can remember one time we did a set and we nailed it. We look inside. Here's this salmon like this swimming around, and we're going, oh man, we're gonna have dinner, right? Well, you're not supposed to have them, right? Sure enough, here comes this fishing game boat coming out. So we get the scoop, get a braille, get the salmon, let it go. Right. Man, my lips were, just. But yeah, no, it's a whole different ball game up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great learning experience.
Yeah, no, it was. It's less aggressive, less fighting at the rail, less going over.
It is
under.
kickback. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
It's a lot more kickback.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mackie. Good stuff for sure.
Awesome.
Well, if nobody out there has another question, we've been on the air over an hour with Danny Kadota.
Wow.
We're kind of hanging on here. Danny, when's your next fishing trip? Do you have anything planned?
I actually don't have anything planned right now. But I'm fall is one of my favorite times. I'll sneak on. I'll sneak out somehow. Whether it's going out, at Cortez or Tanner or fishing out, and I'll probably try to finish up, get a couple bluefin, chop it up before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Distribute it out to all the friends and family and stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Ken Trenholm joins us. Says, hello, Freeman Adventures family. Ken, good to see you. Can't wait for our 2-day trip in September. How many rods should I bring? I don't want to be the guy taking up many spots on the rod holders. My mom says, hello, Phil. Hello, Mom. On a typical 2-day trip, well, it's hard to tell, man.
You
This
know,
far
I
out. We
hate
don't
to
know
tell
what's
you
going to be
that.
biting, Ken.
You do, the skippers are going to hate me for this, but I go prepared. I don't care because I do not want a part of my arsenal missing that I'm going to implement for a specific thing. So you're going to have to do your due diligence on homework up to the day of the trip. Find out, basically, talk to the landing, call the landing, talk to the crew members, see what's going on. Find out what's going on, and if you're going on a 2-dayer, you're going to probably be maxed out at Cortez, Tanner, something like that, or you could be out in the open. You just, you could be out in the who knows, but you got a 2-day radius that you're gonna fish in. So by the fish counts that you're seeing and what the guys are reporting, stay up on your information, and it's going to tell you whether you're going to have to bring, naturally, something in your arsenal is always going to have 100-pound because they're night fishing, so you're going to need that for fishing the flat falls and stuff, or it could be a kite for that matter. They might be on the flyers or whatever it might be, but then you may use their rods too. But be prepared. You want that heavy rod for the flat falls and stuff like that, and then scale it down. But look at the fish counts, and that'll kind of that'll give you a hint as to what tackle you should probably specialize in. Talk to the guys at the landing. You can call down here, talk to Tony. These guys, they're informed. They know exactly what's going on the boats when they come in. So, the information is crucial because that dials your tackle in. Uh, I take a gamut of rods and I cover everything just in case because I don't want to be out there and all of a sudden, God, I wish I would have brought this. I have it. If I don't have to use it, I don't use it. But I just do not want to, have a gap in my arsenal that would have been utilized efficiently for that one day. And that happened on our freedom trip.
Yeah.
I mean, so you do have to bring the array of rods because you don't know what's going to happen that particular day.
Cue Ball says, preach it, brother Dan. Take all your gear, all of it. Bring it all. Manny says, Danny, you planning to go back to the Bay of LA?
Oh, yeah. I'll be back down there next June. Yeah.
Manny's down there all the time. Manny, good to see you, my friend.
Love it down there.
I think if this is the Manny I'm thinking about, he's down there all the time.
Yeah, you can't
good to
beat
see
it.
you.
Good.
And Ken, wait till we're a little bit closer. Anything we say now would be pure conjecture and a guess. Because, we have no idea what's going to be happening in late September.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your gear. So
yeah.
hang on there. Tell your mom to settle you down. I know you're excited, but just be patient. All right, everybody. Danny, great show. Thank you again, Phil. My friend. What can I tell you? Good job.
You got it. Love it. Thank you, folks, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week right back here.
Take care.
We're on our Monday schedule, 3 p.m., and then we'll see you a little bit later tonight on Tackle Shop Confessions. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Danny.
All righty. We'll see you.